I'm Mim Bartlett, the Managing Director of Mim Bartlett Consulting. I was introduced to philanthropy by Jane Tewson, founder of Igniting Change, in 2010, when she introduced me to the Asylum Seeker Resource Center on one of her visits, and it really sparked something very deep inside me. And I hadn't really thought much about philanthropy before, and it really began my activation and interest and really jumping in. What guides my giving strategy is getting really clear what I'm passionate about, and then what the need is in society, then finding some not-for-profits that are doing fabulous work in those areas. And my three pillars are gender equality, the LGBTIQ plus community, and asylum seekers, and also the CEO who's running the organisation. I need to really have a lot of respect and admiration for them, and then of course I do quite a lot of research about the organisation through my networks before I decide to invest or donate to them. About 15 years ago, when I started working in the corporate world with women and hearing their personal and professional stories of discrimination, and then starting to get involved in philanthropy and hearing kind of on the ground, grassroots, a lot of pain and suffering and disadvantage and discrimination, and those two factors together really opened my eyes up. An example of where I've championed a gender lens for women and girls was in 2016, and it was really through Julie Riley suggesting to me to ask the question, how does my giving support women and girls? And so I asked the Asylum Seeker Resource Center, where Mike and I had been donating for many years, and it was through that question that they gave us the opportunity to fund a lawyer, the first time in their legal clinic, that specialised in supporting women who were fleeing gender-based persecution, and so that's where our funding went, and so I was very grateful for that. I really admire Eve and Jill for setting up Australians Investing in Women, because they were very ahead of their time. I'm also very admiring of the Snow Foundation for the stance that they took around the lack of gender and racial equity when they gave their funding to the Melbourne University Snow Fellowship Program. And what happened was that they suspended their funding after the university gave their 5 honorary doctorates to all men, and they had done that for the past 3 years. So no women and no people of non-white descent. And so they suspended it until the university could demonstrate more change and more progress in those areas. What I'm most proud of in terms of my impact as a philanthropist is the fireside chats that I created to bring advocacy, fundraising and support to not-for-profits. And the one that I did the most of that for was the Asylum Seeker Resource Center, where I would invite 50 people to our home and have Con, the CEO, come and talk about the issues facing asylum seekers. And we did that twice a year for 5 years, and I raised over $1.3 million and also brought a lot of in-kind opportunities and funding and networks to the centre. The advice that I'd give someone new to philanthropy is, 1, really deeply understand what your passions are, what you really care deeply about. 2, think about where there's a lot of need in our community. Think outside the box. Make sure that you really know the people who are running these not-for-profits and organisations, and think about asking the question, how can my giving support women and girls? Because we know that most philanthropic funding doesn't discriminate by gender, and so most people kind of assume that when you donate to youth or say to medical research that the funding will benefit all sexes, but the research has shown that women are often underserviced or excluded from projects that are intending to benefit everybody. But I really think that question around how can my funding support women and girls can catalyse some things that you will never even have thought about, but it's such an important question, and so that would be my main takeaway and call to action.